Oh, well, welcome. Welcome to the groundbreaking for the Knox Regional Health Science Education and Simulation Center. We know that's a mouthful, but the important work that this facility is going to carry and do is significant. My name's Chris Whaley, if I've not had the pleasure of meeting you, and I'm blessed to serve as the president of Roane State Community College.
President of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, Knoxville, and we are your co-hosts today.
I don't have to tell anyone in this group about the critical shortage of healthcare workers. I don't have to tell anyone in this group how important it is to our generations and the generations who will come that we have trained healthcare workers who will be able to provide care to all of us in our times of need. And right now we have many institutions within the TVR system, within our universities, and many others who are putting out great graduates who become great employees. There simply aren't enough of them. And we have space limitations that prevent us from growing our programs. At least up until now, we've had that issue. So I don't think President Cheney and I can adequately explain how excited we are about this occasion that brings us together this morning. It has taken a tremendous amount of effort, time, and collaboration to get us to this groundbreaking. So we're grinning from ear to ear for good reason today. So many people have helped us along the way, and that is absolutely no exaggeration. We're excited to have the opportunity to partner with TCAT Knoxville, just as we're able to partner together in Anderson County at the higher education facility in Clinton to do advanced manufacturing training. Here, we're going to partner together to provide more healthcare workers. And I'll tell you, Roane State is blessed, and we can have no better partner to work with than the great folks at TCAT Knoxville. The campus would not exist without each and every one of you. I want you to hear me say that. It would not exist without each and every one of you. You've been with us every step of the way, and we are so grateful, as are our students. Now, speaking of our students, as our colleagues both at Roane State and TCAT know, we like to begin any gathering we can. We talk a lot about the phrase students first. We really mean that. And so quite literally, during our meetings, we try not to start any meeting at Roane State without having a student speak and share about how we're serving them, how we can make the experience better for them, making sure that we're meeting their needs. And we are blessed to have several students with us in the audience from both Roane State and TCAT. So if you are a Roane State TCAT student, or if you are a graduate of either institution, would you please stand for just a moment and let us recognize you. See one of my many dear friends in the audience, Wade Cresswell, the county executive in Roane County, who also graduated from Roane State's nursing program many years ago. Rumor has it that he may be leaving that facility to come and no, I don't need to start that rumor. Okay, you didn't need that, did you, Wade? Only a good friend would say that. So, the students whom you've seen and the many others that these students represent disciplines offered again in this new Health Science Center, and they are the future of healthcare workforce in East Tennessee. And listen, we are so grateful that they chose Roane State, that they chose TCAT to begin part of their journey with us. They don't make their journey alone, of course. They have great teachers, other great leaders, and folks who make them who they are educationally, training-wise. So we have many faculty members, deans, program directors with us. If you are an instructor, a dean, if anything to do with the education that goes on at either institution, would you stand, or if you're standing, wave at us so we can recognize you, please. You know, we talk about buildings, and buildings are great. You got to have a place to do the training, but the real magic happens when those experts get in a classroom with their students, and we're grateful for you too. Just want to say thank you for your dedication and your commitment to the success, again, on behalf of these students. The pursuit of excellence begins in the classroom, so thank you all for what you do. Now, Governor Lee and the Tennessee General Assembly have funded $68.5 million toward a more than 131,000 square foot facility. And we anticipate that when our health science programs begin, when we open fall of 2025, we are assured that we will grow by more than 30%, and we will educate, and I'm talking more than just the credit programs, but also the workforce programs, so folks can continue to maintain their certifications and licensures. We'll educate more than 8,000 students each year in this facility, and that is significant, folks.
Because of the tremendous support received from Governor Lee, the Tennessee General Assembly, the Tennessee Board of Regents, and many community partners, we are able to stand before you today, ready to break ground in this beautiful and much needed health science education and simulation center.
Now, we have some speakers, but before we get to our guest speakers, we want to make sure just to take a few moments to recognize certain individuals with us today. I wish we had time. All of you deserve being recognized, but there are a few folks we must call by name. Without their support, we could not be here today. So I want to recognize, first of all, please, Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and his lovely wife, Jan. We'll hear from the Lieutenant Governor in just a moment. Let me tell you, not only did the Lieutenant Governor shepherd through the appropriation for this project from the very beginning, but then when we went back to the Lieutenant Governor and to Jan and asked them if they would serve as honorary co-chairs of our capital campaign, they said yes once again. So they continue to be intimately involved in the success of this facility and what we're going to accomplish here. I'd also like to recognize Dick Tracy, the Executive Director of TBR Facilities Development. We will hear from Dick in just a moment. I'd like to recognize and introduce Regent Danny Varlin. She is a member of the Tennessee Board of Regents. We will hear from Danny in just a few moments. Senator Ken Yeager, Senator Richard Briggs. I know I saw in the audience Representative Jason Zachary. I know I see Representative Reagan. Representative Lafferty is here. Did I miss any members of the General Assembly? Yes, ma'am?
Representative Davis.
Representative Davis, I'm sorry, ma'am. Thank you all so much for being here. Knoxville Mayor India Kincannon is here. Thank you so much for attending. In fact, are there members of the Knox County Commission and Knox City Council who may be here that I don't know about? Would you raise your hands and be recognized? Yes, thank you for being here. Jim Vandersteeg, the President and CEO of Covenant Health. We will hear from Jim in just a moment, as well as Dr. Lynn Massengale, the co-founder and chairman of Team Health. Both of these gentlemen serve as our co-chairs of our campaign, and we are so blessed to have them here today and for their leadership, as well as Chuck Griffin, who is the president and CEO of Barbara Murray Architects. They have designed a beautiful facility. You'll see many images here on the easels, and if you grab one of the books in the back, you'll see some additional photos there. As well as Doug Kennedy, the CEO of Johnson & Gallion Construction. They're going to make this building come right up out of the ground and let us occupy it before we know it. Paul McCown, the principal at IC Thomas & Associates in the Knoxville office, is here. Mike Baker, I know, is sitting right over here, the current chair of the Run State Foundation. In fact, if there are other foundation board members here, Mike and the other foundation board members for Run State Foundation, would you please stand and be recognized at this time? These folks stepped out first and early, and they were the first to give and contribute to the outstanding amount that we are raising in order to equip and occupy this building. So I also want to introduce Mike Belbeck, the Executive VP of Operations at Covenant Health. He is serving as Vice Chair of the campaign. Thank you, Mike. As well as Greg Geen, the President of RTG Realty Trust Group. He's an RSCC alum like me, and he has been the convener of the advisory committee that got together and talked about this project before there was a project. And so he has continued on as Vice Chair of the campaign, and I appreciate Mike's leadership more than I can say. As well as I've already given him a hard time, Wade Cresswell, who is a member of our campaign cabinet, graduate of Run State and the county executive in Run County, and my dear, dear friend Jim Henry, who needs no introduction, who is not only a legend in Tennessee state government, but also in Run County, and I appreciate his wisdom more than I can say. Thank you, friend. Now, so we've talked a lot about this campaign cabinet, so let me just go ahead and say, For information regarding the campaign to support the construction, the furnishing, and the equipment to finish out this facility, so we have this generous appropriation from the state, but as with any state project, the institutions have to have skin in the game, and that's only appropriate. So our capital campaign will be used to finish the building, to equip the facility. Healthcare equipment does not come free, friends, as you might imagine, as well as, importantly, scholarships for students to be able to be educated here, because although these individuals in the General Assembly have provided us with great programs like Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Reconnect that take care of tuition, health science students have additional expenses. They have scrubs and stethoscopes, and then they have to pay for their certification and licensure exams. And sometimes that unfortunately makes education and the profession out of reach. And so we want to make sure that it is not out of their reach. So if you are interested in ways you can partner with us, please visit the table at the back, pick up that brochure I showed you just a moment ago about the efforts of the aforementioned board and cabinet members who are actively having conversations with community leaders, supporters, and others interested who want to help us make sure that this facility turns out the way that it needs to transform lives, inspire excellence in health science education, and importantly, again, to help our community thrive. So most of you will certainly be hearing more about our $7.5 million fundraising goal, which is the not so quiet phase of our leading gift conversations. But again, the bottom line for me is thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you have done, all that you continue to do to help this facility become a reality, to make students a success, and then make them the employers that many of you need to have more of as you continue to serve our community.
Would not have happened without the help of so many people, and although we do not have the time to get to every single one of them, we would like to invite a few people to the microphone to say a few words. First, let me introduce Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally.
Thank you, Kelly and Chris. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I recall many years ago when I was a neophyte politician along with Jim Henry, we both were running for our first legislative office, and he had paid 3 campaign workers up in a certain precinct in Tennessee, and when the results came in, he got a whopping 2 votes. We learned a lesson very quickly about how that goes, and I was a former healthcare student myself, and recall going into my physics instructor's office, and I had my little white clinical jacket on, a little name tag that said UT, and I had to get some papers signed, and he was a notorious fella, and as we had a great conversation, and as I got up to leave after it was through, he said, "McNally, you know what? If you were the last doctor alive, I wouldn't let you deliver my cat's kid." But I had really, thanks to Methodist Medical Center and Covenant Healthcare, I had a great career in pharmacy, and really do appreciate the way that they were able to work around my legislative schedule, and the people there were great. But this particular project, I had gone to the governor's office, and Governor Lee just immediately grasped the need and how we could fund the project. First, Covenant was able to generously donate the land for the project, and it was amazing. So I think we owe a great deal of thanks to Governor Lee and his ability to see the need that exists here in particularly Knox and Anderson and Loudoun and the surrounding counties. But really been a great individual to work with, and I certainly appreciate the support that we have here and just want to thank everybody and tell them how much I appreciate them, and two of my colleagues here, Ken Yeager and Rick Briggs. Ken was on the finance committee that helped steer this money through, and Rick, of course, heads up the state and local government committee. So any of you local government officials, here he is. But thank y'all. I very much appreciate your attendance and your support and your help. Thank you.
So my team knows that one thing that I'm good for is to always forget a name, so let me rectify that right now. Mayor Jacobs unfortunately could not be here today, but I know from personal conversations with him how important this project is to him, continuing conversations that we've had with him, and so we're pleased to have, even though he could not be here, we're blessed to have Rhonda Smithson here. Rhonda, where are you? Thank you so much for being here. Sorry about that omission. As the Lieutenant Governor indicated, we want to give the microphone over to his Senate colleagues, and I want to, first of all, bring up Senator Ken Yeager, who, in more ways than I can describe, has taken care of Roane State students, the Roane State service area, which is wide and vast with many campuses. But he's just absolutely been a rock of support for our students, and I appreciate him in so many ways. And I just want to say this publicly, Senator, thank you so much. Would you come and share?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a privilege to be here for this exciting event as we break ground for the Health Science Education and Simulation Center, which is going to have a ripple effect for years to come as we have more opportunities for our students to get into the health science programs, and from those programs serve people not just in Knoxville and Knox County or even the service area for Roane State, but the entire East Tennessee and Tennessee region. This is such a significant event, and Governor McNally was characteristically very modest about his role in this, and I want to publicly thank him with a little history. The first meeting that we had to discuss this was one to discuss $1 million appropriation, I believe, for planning money, and Governor McNally called that meeting. We had, I believe, Dr. Whaley there and some folks from Covenant were there, and we called in, I think, maybe the deputy governor from to represent the administration, and it was Randy McNally's leadership and his persuasion that we were able to secure that $1 million in planning money that then made it possible to secure the $68 million appropriation to build the facility. And as he said, it was his leadership too, with Governor Lee, that secured this appropriation of budget. I was happy to be on the Finance Committee and support it, but I want to give credit where credit's due, and it belongs to our Lieutenant Governor, Randy McNally. I say this often about Roane State Community College, and I'm going to include the College of Applied Technology in this as well. These are life-changing institutions. What we are doing, as I said, are creating a ripple effect that has an unlimited reach. I'm just glad to have a small part in it, and we all just need to continue to support these institutions in every way that we can. Thank you.
Again, really before there was a project, there was a need, but before there was a project, we tapped again Roane State alum Greg Keene to help us sort of see the lay of the land and try to help get our thoughts together to how do we sort of push this forward. And one of the things that he said early on is we need to get a group together and go ahead and be talking about the need, because there are individuals obviously in healthcare who know all about it. They're living in the middle of it every single day. There are other individuals, Mayor Kincannon, who supported healthcare from day one in their administration, but there are folks who may not understand the scope of the need. So let's put a group together. And Greg said one of the folks you need to have in that group, if he will say yes, and he did without a second thought, is Dr. Senator Richard Briggs. And so he's been with us from the very beginning, helping us shape this, to advocate for this project. And I want to give him the microphone. If you'll come forward, Senator Briggs.
Thank you very much, President Whaley and Madam President Kelly. But just very quickly, a few words. Every time I come to one of these, I learn something. And I've been in the Senate now. This will be my 10th year. And for the first few years, I sat right in front of our President Lieutenant Governor. I thought I knew him pretty well as a person and a friend. But today I found out why he didn't become a veterinarian. And I'm really glad he didn't, because he was a pharmacist. He worked at Oak Ridge. I worked up in our practice covered Oak Ridge also, and the state of Tennessee is so fortunate to have someone with his experience and leadership that just gets things done. And that's what we see in this case here. I remember coming to the early meetings that we had on this, and we wondered, how long is it going to take to get the money together? We got the first $1 million for planning. And we said, well, it's just going to open up the gates and the money's going to fall out of the sky. Well, that didn't happen. For one thing, COVID hit, and that set things back for a while. But when you have a good idea that's going to benefit not only the community, but also the people who are graduates of this program, then it does fall out of the sky, because it is a good thing. Fortunately, we had the leadership of, and make no doubt about it, Governor McNally was the person who really carried the water on this and made it happen. There were many of us cheering him on, but he was the person in a position to make it happen, and I think we really need to recognize that. But also, also with the president of our TCATs who were behind this, and I've really enjoyed working with you and with President Whaley. This is all coming together now. Jim Vandesteed, who I think is going to speak in a minute, knows how desperately we need medical personnel right now. There's an article in the New York Times today about how 100,000 nurses didn't come back to work after COVID. So the need is greater than ever, and this facility, which is an amazing state-of-the-art facility, will be part of training people to meet that need, and I'm really excited about getting this construction started. So thank you all very much.
A lot of great partnerships were forged on this project, and incredible achievements have been made and made possible that may not have happened without their involvement. Partnerships are so important to our communities, not just as a catalyst for economic and community development, but critical to the support of our students. It is the partnership of legislators, business, industry, educators, and the community which made this facility possible. We cannot say thank you enough for what you have done for our students and our community. Thank you. Thank you.
Chancellor Flora Tidings could not be with us today, and she told me that she sincerely sends her apologies and her regrets. She had something she just had to take care of today, and so in her place, may I introduce to you a very important person, Dick Tracy, who is the Executive Director, again, of Facilities Development at TBR. Dick, as the script says, the script's right, Dick has played an important role in each one of our building projects over the last 15 to 20 years. The truth is, Dick has played an important part in every Tennessee Board of Regents project that has been on the books for the last 15 to 20 years. And he has done so much to help us get through the extremely detailed and quite frankly complicated project submissions that we have to send in. So Dick, we appreciate your leadership, your wisdom, and your assistance always. And so we want to thank you, and I want you to please come up and share a few words.
Thank you, President Whaley and President Cheney. It's always a pleasure to work with your teams on these projects. Chancellor Tidings does send her regrets for not being here. These events are really important to her because it shows the progress that TBR is making to make changes in the higher education offerings and accessibility across the state. That includes, she asked me to thank you, give best wishes to all those, including President Whaley, President Cheney, as well as the broader community represented here today. We'd like to thank Lieutenant Governor McNally, and like everybody else said, he's been a real important played a real important role in this project. I think not only because of it's here in East Tennessee, but he recognizes the need that we have across the state to be able to continue to educate students in the higher education in healthcare because it is an ever-growing demand. We'd like to thank Senator Yeager, Senator Briggs, and all the members of the General Assembly who supported the funding for this project. We'd also like to thank Governor Lee, who made support for the career and technical higher education a central focus of his administration. As you may be aware, this year the Governor and the General Assembly has also supported the approval of nearly $1 billion to modernize our campuses for the TCATs, literally from Memphis to Mountain City. And we're moving swiftly to start those projects so that we're breaking ground on those next year. We'd like to thank our partners at Covenant Health and the Knox County government. Dr. Whaley did talk about this project. It was complicated, but we've got great support for Covenant. Over the past few years, I think Roan State drug me all across Knox County looking at every piece of property, building that looked like it may have, and none of them would work. All of a sudden, we were approached by Covenant. They said they'd have a piece of land that they would gift us next to the hospital that would be buildable. And as you can see, this is the property that we have. We often talk about public-private partnerships, and this has been a great example of what we do at the Tennessee Board of Regents. We have a public community college, the technical college, a prestigious regional health system, state and local government, all working together to establish the Regional Health Science Education Center that will train for generations nurses, EMTs, therapists, healthcare administrators, as well as dental and medical assistants. So they'll learn their skills for this career and also be able to come back here to continue their education and training. This partnership will represent what we feel will be a national example for the healthcare training and education. When we gather here again in 2025 to cut the ribbon, we'll welcome over 800 students for that first semester. Finally, we'd like to thank our design and construction team, Barbara McMurray and Johnson Gallion, who'll build this and design it with quality and integrity. And like again, Chancellor Tidings sends her regards, and we appreciate everybody being here. Thank you.
Okay, we're getting close, I promise, to grabbing those shovels. But before we get to that, there is one recognition that we're blessed to make today. And to present that, I would like to invite Regent Danny Varlin to the podium. Again, when we talk about the generosity of these folks and their colleagues in the General Assembly and the support of Governor Lee, first of all, you've got to have an appropriation. Then you immediately begin to think, okay, now where are we going to build it? And we did drive all around Knox County. And it was only the point that Covenant said, we want to partner in this substantial way. And let me just tell you, look where we are today, folks. So, absolutely, that deserves a round of applause. I would like to invite Regent Varlin to the podium. Danny represents the 2nd Congressional District for the Tennessee Board of Regents, and I will say she is one of our most fervent supporters. For those of you who don't have the blessing to know her, you need to get to know her. But Danny Varlin was appointed to the Tennessee Board of Regents first in 2010, and then reappointed to serve a 2nd and 3rd term in 2013, 2019. We would like that just to continue sort of in perpetuity if we get any opportunity to lobby for that. Many of you know that she served previously as the Major Gifts and Annual Giving Officer at East Tennessee Children's Hospital in Knoxville, so healthcare is no stranger to her. And prior to joining Children's Hospital, of course, she served for 10 years as president of the East Tennesseans for Airfare Competition. That's a nonprofit business coalition created for the purpose of developing and implementing initiatives to bring competitively priced air service to McGee-Tyson. She was program director for Leadership Knoxville, 1999 to 2002, She's involved in so many boards and so many community organizations. I don't know of anyone who gives as much as she gives to the community, but I will tell you, as one of our bosses, she is absolutely passionate about the connection between the transforming power of higher education and getting those folks well-paying careers. Particularly, of course, today we're talking about healthcare education and workforce, but across the board, whether it be advanced manufacturing or whatnot. She absolutely talks the talk, walks the walk about success for our students and how important the work is that we do. And I am so grateful for her leadership and her friendship. I would like to welcome to the podium Regent Danny Barlow.
Scared to say anything because then you might know none of that's true. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Despite the heat and humidity, although it feels pretty good in here to me, I'm impressed. So, and we appreciate you coming out today despite all of that. I do want to say one thing, take just a moment, a little humble brag is that with these two, Cheney and Whaley, I got to share the selection committee for them being hired. So. Y'all that there's plenty of water back here, so please be sure to stay hydrated, right, medical people? One of my favorite roles as a member of the Tennessee Board of Regents is recognizing those individuals or organizations that give back and do just an amazing job with our community and technical colleges. They support them way above and beyond. We have an award called the Regents Award for Excellence in Philanthropy that's reserved for those that go above and beyond in financial and volunteer aid. It's not just about the money. Today we are honoring an organization that has supported Rome State Community College for many years on numerous levels. The Regents Award is recipient this year is Covenant Health. The relationship between Covenant Health and Rome State whose service and areas significantly overlap, many counties, covers a variety of endeavors, including representation from both institutions serving on each other's local and academic advisory boards, as well as partnering on clinical rotations, opportunities for students needing to complete their degree to enter the workforce. Covenant Health is active in Rome State job fairs, aids in developing innovative programs such as the medical lab tech degree program at Rome State, and supplies time for Covenant employees to serve as instructors and faculty at the college. And you're talking about the best training, the people to be the best. That's where the rubber meets the road right there, is when you have their employees helping train our new workforce people. Mike Belbeck, Executive Vice President of Operations at Covenant Health, joined the Rome State Foundation Board of Directors in 2019 and became involved in the early conversations regarding Rome State's desire to expand its current Center for Health Sciences in Knoxville. Covenant President and CEO Jim Vandersteeg, along with Mike and other Covenant executives, took part in the 2020 fundraising feasibility study concerning the proposed project to construct a new facility more than 8 times the size of the current center. As conversations continued, Covenant executives offered and their board approved a gift of 10 prime acres of buildable real estate in West Knoxville on which to construct this beautiful new facility. The donated land, valued at nearly $10 million, is, I'm going to say that again, $10 million. Is where we stand today, and it is the largest private gift in Rome State's 53-year history. This exceptional partnership did not end with the gift of land and has most recently grown to include President and CEO Jim Vandersteeg's commitment to serve as co-chair for the Rome State Foundation capital campaign to raise $7.5 million in private philanthropy. This fundraising effort looks to ensure adequate capital for equipment, dollars for these and for the scholarships that need to be raised. In total, Covenant Health affiliates have gifted over $600,000 through the Rome State Foundation since 1998. Beyond healthcare, administrators and clinical staff of Covenant contribute and serve as advisors to Rome State programs such as cybersecurity, offering work-based learning opportunities in conjunction with the Governor's Give grant program, where Rome State received $1 million to expand dual studies and enrollment in our Tennessee County area. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege here, because all of this recognition that we're giving to everyone today, especially to Covenant, doesn't include the excellent facilities they have for health care. 14 years ago, I presented at Park West Hospital with signs of a stroke. I wasn't particularly a normal candidate who shows up for that. In fact, my 15-year-old son had to drive me because there was nobody else. When I showed up, the hospitalist there ignored what might be the obvious, that it might be something else, and found that I was 100% blocked in this artery and was significantly blocked in this, and immediately did surgery. They saved my life. It is my hospital. 2010, my father-in-law passed away. He passed away here, but the loving care that they gave to us, I will never forget that. They showed me how to care for him in his last moments, showed me what to do, and it was really a blessing to have those nurses and those professionals be there to show us exactly what to do. I was telling them earlier that my daughter has been a labor and delivery nurse with them up at Fort Sanders for years, and will soon be a midwife. And as recent as last week, I was in the ED at Park West, where I had fallen down 12 steps from my deck to my patio, and they checked me inside, outside, head to toe to, thank God, discover I had not broken anything and I was still alive. So I felt like that, those things have to be recognized, and that's just one family. Imagine, I mean, y'all all have your stories. So the generosity and all of that is very important, but they are an excellent, excellent healthcare facility, and I just want to recognize them for that. Their gift is transformative, and the partnership will support our students and community for generations. This is Covenant Health's largest, but not their only, contribution to Rome State Community College. Covenant Health's Methodist Medical Center, wherever Mike is in Oak Ridge, has long held a scholarship-funded endowment at Rome State Community College, which supports student scholarships and other awards for those supporting careers in healthcare. Covenant Health's contributions cannot be overstated, and today the Tennessee Board of Regents is honored to present the 2023 Regents Award for Excellence in Philanthropy to Covenant Health for outstanding philanthropy to Rome State Community College. Accepting the award will be their CEO and President.
So I will attempt to do something I never do, which is be brief. But on behalf of Covenant Health, thank you for this really incredible recognition. And while this land is important and it is a significant contribution, the reality is what's most important is the investment that we're all making here today in the future of having a quality healthcare workforce available for all of us. I want to say again, thank you for all you do. I want to say thank you for everybody being here. I don't care who you are, you have a vested reason to be here. Whether you are specifically in healthcare, my guess is one day you will need health care. And we will all be very, very glad that we have the kind of workforce. So thank you everyone for being here. Covenant Health board members, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand and letting us see all of our Covenant Health board members that are here. I hope I told you the gift was worth $10 million. I'm not sure I did tell you about the land. As you all were saying the number, I was thinking, well, I know I told them it was worth a lot, but obviously, one-hand leadership plays a role. But having a board that believes in our community and cares about the future of our community makes such a big difference. And to all of our elected officials that are here today, more and more in my role, I have really the privilege of working with you all. And I will tell you, for those of you who don't know, our elected officials really care a lot about healthcare. I was in Nashville last week with Jason Zachary and some of the team there, Cameron Sexton, talking about some things in behavioral health. And I don't think every community is like this community in terms of that your legislative officials, your elected officials really care the same way this community cares. This is a little bit of the Randy McNally show today, and so we're going to continue a little bit about that. But I will tell you that, so it was about, I guess, 3 or more years ago as we were kind of working through this process, and we discovered that the idea of an expansion of the Roane State and TCAT campus had been thought about. It had been contemplated. And apparently, and Jason, some of you, the elected officials here can tell me the process, but apparently there's a list somewhere, and you can get on a list. Well, this project was apparently on the list somewhere. And we moved from being somewhere on the bottom of a list to the top of the list. And we went to Nashville, a group of us, Mike Belvick and I, and Senator Yeager, and Cameron Sexton, and Lieutenant Governor, and we met in the office from the governor as well. And we moved from being on the bottom of a list to the top of the list. And you all know that takes real leadership and passion and vision on the side of elected officials to do that. So Randy, to you and all those that play a role in that, thank you so much. On a personal note, I have learned you got to be very careful saying yes to Dr. Chris Whaley. So about 3 years ago, I got a phone call, and it's like, hey, would you be willing to participate in looking at an economic study? Can we do this? And I'm like, sure. And by the way, isn't it crazy to think 3 years ago how different the world seemed? If you go back to 2019, the world seemed so different, but the need was there even in 2019. And so we went from a study, and then Dr. Whaley and others came to me and said, hey, we really got to find some land in West Knoxville. And it's really hard to find land in West Knoxville. And I'm going, yeah, it really is really hard. And it's really expensive, too. And so the further we talked about it, we started looking at our campus plan here and really looking toward the future of even back in 2019, we knew we didn't have enough healthcare workers. I'm so glad we started it when we did and not now, as we're looking at the current challenge we're in with the healthcare workforce. But we went from that, and then we ended up identifying some property. So we found a yes there, and then because I said yes twice, he said, you really ought to co-chair the fundraising. And so I said yes there. So you've gotten 3 yeses. I don't think I'm going to give any more yeses. But in all honesty, thank you to Dr. Whaley and the team. And I will tell you, there's an incredible amount of passion on everyone who's involved in this project, because we all understand the need. We want people to be able to have a high quality of life, and I know you do as well. And as we continue to face a world today that's very different from 2019, there's all kinds of estimates in terms of healthcare shortage. I can tell you specifically in the nursing space, they believe there's somewhere around 25 to 30% that we've had a reduction in nurses. And some of that has been during COVID. And for those of you, I apologize, for the caregivers, that was a tough time. I remember walking around the hospital, I apologize, and having a chance to see the caregivers. In fact, I remember the first hospital I went to I wanted to see, and we didn't know a lot about COVID at the time. And we didn't know about the long-term effects. We had heard terrible stories, all of you have. We had heard stories about New York, about people dying. And I remember getting invited to come over to Park West, and I went to a unit that was their unit here, take care of the patients. And here's what I found out. Every nurse that was in that unit volunteered to take care of those patients. So the kindness and the compassion of nurses, but we've had a huge reductions in that workforce. If you think about really any industry, there's a normal turnover that occurs. But because of COVID and because of the fear and people, they cut their careers off short in many cases, and fear and other things, we really had a huge need in that workforce. And so I kid Dr. Whaley a little bit. My only real concern is that we need to get it done at 24, right? I heard 25 today. I thought it was 24, but we won't push on that. But the Rhone State and TCAT have meant so much to Covenant for the years. In fact, if you look at Covenant today, over 2,000 of our employees have gone through those colleges. And so it makes a huge part of our workforce. Covenant wants to be a trusted and valued health partner for the community and those that we serve. In order to do so, we've got to have not only talented healthcare workers, we've got to have compassionate workers. We have to have people that really do commit themselves to the highest quality. And then we have to be able to deploy them throughout the region. Covenant has hospitals in 8 counties. We have facilities in over 20 counties. And then there's all kinds of other folks in this room today who are part of the healthcare team that need workers as well. So this is an important day. Many of the students that will be in these campuses, that will come through these institutions, will make the decisions to work in this area. And I think one of the things you could say that's most positive about these 2 colleges is a very high percent of the people that go through these colleges will stay and live and work in this community. The mission of Covenant Health is to improve the quality of life through better health. And I personally can't think of a better way as I think about our future. And that's a lot about what we're talking about, right? We're talking today, you know, I wish the building was built. I wish all the students were here, but sometimes what you're doing is you're making an investment in the future. So we're making an investment in the future of these colleges. We're making an investment in the future of our organization and all the healthcare organizations in this community. We're making a huge investment in the lives of individuals who would take these jobs, who will pay taxes and all that great stuff that great workers do, and who become a productive part of our community. So to everyone who's involved in that, I would say thank you. So I look forward to the construction being done, even though I know I'm not in charge, but I do ask questions occasionally. So look forward to the construction of this facility. It's going to make such a difference in the lives of those we serve. I remember being asked a question as when I was asked to be co-chair, and it was like, well, you start looking at who should potentially be interested in giving for the $7.5 million, and you probably would take 10, I think, right? So 10. But who should we talk to? And you know, we obviously looked at businesses, those who were directly affected, and you know, the more I thought about it, everyone should be interested in what's happening here today. Because maybe you're a wonderfully healthy person, and I'm so glad for you, but I'm going through that maturing process, and I'm realizing that things hurt that never hurt before, and we're going to need health care. And so I don't care who you are, I don't care what role you have, I don't care what your job is. This is something that's such an important part of our community. So with that, I will now turn the mic over to Dr. Lynn Massengale. Many of you in this community, where there's Lynn, he's sitting over there, know Lynn well. Lynn is the co-founder and CEO of Team Health. He has been an individual that many of us in this room have had a long-standing relationship in, and we consider him one of our most important partners. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Vandersteeg, and thanks to all of you for being here. This is pretty personal to me for lots of reasons. I want to start by being so eternally grateful to the caregivers who took care of Ms. Varlin, not once but twice, and didn't make a mistake.
Anybody's had an ER, anybody who starts telling me about their ER visit, I get a little twitchy until I hear the end. So that's really good. Thank you for that. It's also personal for a lot of other reasons. Many of you, like me and my family, my friends, use healthcare a lot. I don't think you'll mind my saying my co-founder and partner at Team Health and best friend for many years, John Staley, was operated here recently on his back, and he's got a great result. Walking around here today, my 91-year-old aunt, who I had a birthday breakfast with this morning, had an amazing thing. She went to congestive heart failure acutely, and after I tried to take care of her a few days at home, decided she needed to see a real doctor. And she had a bad aortic valve, and they did a transarterial aortic valve replacement without opening her chest, and she went home in 2 days. It is doing wildly better than she was before. She drives. She's doing terrifically, so I've got that personal experience. And then at the other end of the socioeconomic spectrum, one of my neighbors in Loudoun County, I live out in the country, is a guy I won't mention by name, but he was in this hospital 4 months out of the last 6 months for an infection in his leg, and he's a TennCare patient with a 5th grade education. This place cares for everybody, and this community cares for everybody that needs it. We're really blessed with great health care in the community. I'm going to try to keep the noise down. There's a saying that when you're in leadership, when you get tired of saying something, everybody else is just starting to hear it. And I get accused of this at work every day. But for about 40 years, I have said that the most important thing that happens in healthcare is the interaction between a patient, some people in the system, some caregivers, and the family at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nothing else that we really do matters very much. You know, we do strategic planning and we raise money and we make budgets, but if that 2 o'clock in the morning thing doesn't work, none of the rest of it makes much difference to anybody. So this is really the culmination of work that's going to make that better. And it's important now in a way that it's never been more important. I've been an ER doctor in this community for a long time. I was the medical director here for a long time when the facility was about 1/10 the size it is now, seriously. I was director of the paramedic program at Rome State for a lot of years. And a lot of things are the same. You know, the patient's need, the family's need is the same, but what's different now is several things. The volumes are like we've never seen before, partly because of the aging of the population. The complexity and the acuity of the patients is higher than it's ever been, mostly because of aging and the development of technologies. The fact that my aunt could have a procedure done to replace an aortic valve without opening her chest requires a stunning amount of evolution and work. What turns out to be a simple procedure is a result of a lot of complexity behind the scenes. And so the need for the people who do this has never been as great. And the people that do this work have to be better than they've ever been before. Many of these students are like many of you and like me. They are first-generation college students. And they have to be the best we can possibly find. And facilities like this, right across the street from the hospital, I think will help us recruit those folks better. I'm often amused at restaurants. I'm sometimes irritated. Often amused in restaurants with, I think that's got to be the world's worst business. You know, it's horrible hours and all kinds of stuff. But any one person on that team can ruin your evening. Any one person. And healthcare is like that. If the phlebotomist isn't on time, and if the lab result's not back quick enough, and if the x-ray tech is not just right, and it doesn't have to be much wrong to be all wrong, if the x-ray tech is not just right, if the doctor and the nurse and the dietary department and housekeeping, if it's not all just right, the experience for the patient's bad. And you might know we measure patient experience a lot. Those of us who are the front lines get held accountable for patient experience a lot. But any person in that chain can ruin it for the patient. And so we need the best people we could possibly get, and I think this will help us attract those patients. Covenant's gift is a stunning gift. Both to Jim and the board, it's a stunning gift. And so I want to just pile on a little bit to Senator McNally, to all the representatives, to Governor Lee, to Lawrence Tulloch, who did the preliminary feasibility work about this, to the foundation board, to the capital campaign committee, And as Mr. Vandersteeg said, if you're here, you have a reason to be here. You have a connection of some sort. So we thank you. We need you. We need everybody that you know. And we're grateful for all you're doing. Thank you very much. Thanks to Jerome State and to Kathy.
Thank you, Dr. Massengale, for your support of us and our students. You are really transforming lives. Shaping the lives of our students is why I get up in the morning, and to say it's my life mission is an understatement. It's so important that the next part of this program is to show you how transformative this new facility is going to be. As we mentioned in the beginning, we have several Rome State and TCAT Knoxville students with us today, and we'd like to introduce two of them. From TCAT Knoxville, please welcome Kennedy Heston, a recent graduate from TCAT Knoxville's CNA program. She is accompanied by her parents, Boyd and Lori Heston. Please welcome, for what you need to know is the very best CNA student in the state of Tennessee, bringing home a gold medal at the Skills USA competition. She represented us well in Atlanta at the national competition, and is the second in the country from right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Welcome, Kennedy.
Thank you, Kelly. As she said, my name is Kennedy. I'm the nursing assistant graduate from TCAT Knoxville. It's my honor to be representing the students and the alumni from Tennessee College of Applied Technology, Knoxville, at this groundbreaking event today. I'm here today to talk about my educational journey and how it led me to TCAT. So I thought I had a set in stone plan for how my life was going to work out, but I ended up having to make a new plan. So I was accepted to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, right out of high school, and I started there. My freshman year went great, and I was working toward my goal, and then I ended up hitting a bit of a speed bump, and due to some mental health problems, I was unable to get the grades I needed to continue to my second semester of my sophomore year. So this means I was unable to take any classes in the spring. I had hit rock bottom, and I felt like a complete failure. All I wanted to do was sit at home and do nothing, but my parents were, they were like, you have to do something. So, so my dad, who worked at TCAT at the time, he was like, oh, there's a month-long certified nursing assistant program at the school that you can do, and you'll become a CNA. I was like, but then I was like, well, I mean, it's not like I really have a choice. So I ended up doing that, and it allowed me to gain back my self-confidence that I had lost. And about halfway through the program, I was approached by an advisor, the lead advisor at TCAT, and she was like, we don't have any medical students to compete for us at our state conference, so can you do that? And I was like, sure, I guess so. So I was like, I'll try it, see what happens. I ended up winning gold at the state conference. And that qualified me to compete against gold medalists from across the nation at Skills USA at the championships in Atlanta this past June. I got scared, and I was nervous about it, but my teacher, who is amazing, and my friends and my family, they were all like, you got this, you can do this, you're the best CNA we know. And they ended up making me confident, and I went to nationals, and I was prepared and confident in my abilities, and I ended up winning silver at nationals, so second in the country. And I really never expected my life to go this way. As I said, I had a set in stone plan for what I wanted to do, but I'm glad that I was able to go down this path, and what that led to me getting a national medal. And with a new determination and self-confidence, I am going to resume my pursuit of a RN degree at UTK in the fall, so later this month. I would like to thank everybody who is supporting this project, which will provide additional opportunities for the citizens of Tennessee to meet the healthcare needs of our local community. It has been an honor to speak on behalf of TCAT Knoxville students and alumni today. We thank you and encourage you to support Tennessee students with the work you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. And from Roan State, please welcome to the podium Eli Hill, a current paramedic student.
Hello. I'd like to thank you all for coming and everything that you do for the college that I love, and I've become a much better person, provider, and student thanks to the facility staff whose admiration from me knows no bounds. I would like to talk about how much this facility means to our students, and one of the most powerful teaching tools that we have at Roan State that I have never seen until I came here are scenarios. What scenarios are simply what we would do for a patient in a make-believe scenario where they have real problems, to teach us what to do in the field so we may provide the best care possible. Because of facilities like this and the kind people sitting in front of me, we are going to be able to do much more for patients, have much more learning experiences, and do much better overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Eli. Eli referring to the scenario-based learning that we already do, but this facility is going to allow us to do that in an 11,000 square foot fully integrated simulation center. Now, we all have sim centers for nursing and different programs. This is going to put these students together so they will learn in a setting, because you don't work in isolation as a healthcare provider, so they'll learn as students to work collaboratively, which is so important, again, as they become professionals. So, now it is shovel time. So what I'm going to do is, before I wind us up here, I'm going to ask when we dismiss here for the members of the stage party here up front, members of the campaign cabinet members, Lawrence Tulloch, that includes you, because you all got this. You got this all started with the feasibility study. All of our elected officials, please, we want you to get a helmet and join us at the shovels there for a photo. And when we do that, let me remind you, because we won't come back to the podium, that we appreciate your attendance today. A lot of places you could have been. Thank you for braving the heat and coming out today. Please, again, grab a bottle of water on your way out. Please sign the guest book. Please grab one of our brochures if you want to know more about the campaign. Please know that some of the cars are double parked, so as you go back in the shuttles, please be patient as we get the parking situation remedied. It may be someone who has stayed behind to take a photo. Thank you so much. It's our honor to be here with you today, and let's do great things at this property. Thanks so much.
We're going to throw 1, 2,